Hey, it's Dane Scott, voiceover coach, Fiverr top-rated seller, and today we begin a brand new series called LiveCoach, where I bring in a brave soul to do a live coaching session with me. The first guest in the series, Melissa Neri's in the house. We'll join her next.
3, 2, 1.
StudioTakes, real help for the aspiring voiceover artist.
This is an especially good session to start with, I think, because Melissa is fresh. She has no previous experience with voiceovers. She's just investigating it, and she wants to know if she's right for it. I think this is an excellent stage at which to reach out to a voiceover coach so you can be assessed right away and perhaps save yourself a lot of time, energy, and expense pursuing something that you may not be right for. Let's go to the session. Well, I appreciate you doing this. It's really kind of a nice thing, and you were very patient this morning as we were setting it all up, and it's nice to be in contact. Tell me a little about yourself, Melissa.
My name's Melissa Neri. I live in central New Jersey. I'm married with a little daughter, and yeah, I'm looking to get into voiceovers, and I think narration has my interest the most at the moment, but I'm still exploring what else is available. I understand that there's a whole wide world of it out there that I don't know about. So
there is that. What makes you interested in it?
I've always loved reading and really enjoyed stories. And then once my daughter was born, I was reading stories to her, whole novels to her since the day she was born. And I really enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And I've had some comments throughout my life that led me to think that maybe my voice would be good for this sort of thing, might be suitable for this.
And I'll just tell you right away that even while we were having our conversation earlier, before we actually started recording the video, I was noticing that myself.
Thank you.
I think you have a rich, interesting voice. Did you sing in high school or choir or college or anything like that?
No, really not that good of a singer.
Not a singer at all, huh?
No, not really.
Okay, I'm trying to
carpool karaoke, sure, why not?
Yeah. I'm trying to picture the pitch that your voice is at, and I would say that it is neither alto nor soprano. It seems like it's almost somewhere in between, which is interesting, But the voice quality is very nice. There is something I really believe. And some people disagree about this, but I really believe that the voice counts, that the voice matters. There are those that say it doesn't matter what your voice is, you can do great in voiceovers. And I'm sure that's true. But just as, when someone's going to play guitar, if they are really good on guitar, obviously they can play any instrument and get some pretty cool things to come out of it. But if you watch the really good professional players up on stage performing, they're not usually playing a Sears Silvertone guitar. They're playing something good. It's a Gibson or whatever, So I think that just coming into this, the fact that you have an interesting and kind of a rich voice does not hurt at all. I think that is definitely an asset that you can lay claim to. And so that is a good starting point. Now, the other part of it is that, like you said, you've done some reading aloud and you felt like maybe there was some instinct there, right? Mm-hmm. That it just kind of came naturally to you. And so there's another one of those things that's kind of in your favor. It's automatically going to be a benefit, because if you are not able to read well, you're really in the wrong area. That's really all that we do. There isn't too much memorizing lines and acting. It's really all about written copy that you have in front of you that you're going to interpret in some way. Mm-hmm. So for that reason, if you're coming into it with some knowledge or at least some sense that you have the ability to do that, that's a big plus right away.
Thank you.
Now, have you done any theater?
No, terrible stage fright. I'm very much an introvert. I'm shy.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, this is a situation where you are not on stage in the sense that you would be in a live audience setting. It obviously it is a performance art, but it's not a live performance art. So that makes it totally different. Yes. I was in radio for 20 years. And while I was in radio, obviously that is a live performance art to a certain degree anyway, the person that's live on the air. But there's also a lot of work that's done behind the scenes. Audio production is definitely a thing, and actually that's where I was more comfortable. As you can tell, when I'm expressing myself, there's a certain amount of hesitation and breaking of thought and so forth. Maybe it's a little bit of attention deficit or something like that. And so as a result of that, I was never a great DJ. But when I got in the production room, that's where I started to feel comfortable. That's where I could sit down at the mic and I could record until it was how I liked it. And I think that is what separates voiceover from live performance, is the fact that you get a do-over. And there are people that will tell me that, especially when they're first starting out, that there is a lot of do-over, that they have to kind of go over and over and over it. Part of it is because they're just not confident in what they can do. They may be doing better than they think, but they're not satisfied with what they're hearing, and so they do a lot of mulligans on it. They keep doing it over and over again till they feel like they've got it right. And you shouldn't beat yourself up if that's the case. Don't worry if you've got to do a lot of do-overs at first. That smooths out over time. Part of it is that you're distracted by the other stuff that's going on. You've got the recording, you've got the microphone in front of your face. That's a little disconcerting at first. You're thinking about the editing, you're thinking about the baby, whether the baby needs diaper change, or all these things are on your mind at the same time. So, have you done any kind of practice recording or just practicing so far, or are you just pretty much coming in dry and clean at this point?
Dry and clean right now. I've installed Audacity, and my husband was kind enough to get me all of my setup equipment for my birthday this year. So I'm ready to rock. We have a launch pad, but I actually have not started recording anything with any seriousness just yet. I guess my next step was to look into what's in the public domain. What are some works that I could narrate, or whatever else I'm about to jump into, but I figured to go with something like, I don't know, Alice in Wonderland. Is that public domain at this point? I think so. I think it's old enough. You can practice
with anything. The thing is, if you're just practicing, if you're not going to be putting it out there for anybody, you can read anything you want. Okay. So the idea, let me tell you something. I'm working on a course right now, which is for people that are just starting out. That are just investigating this, and they're asking themselves, is this a good thing for me? Am I going to be right for this kind of work? What all is involved and things like that. And one of the things that I'm covering in that course is how to practice. And, one of the big problems with practicing anything is the drudgery of practice. It's this feeling of, it's time for that. So what I'm recommending to my students and in this course now is that people think about what they really are fascinated with, interested in personally, and read that as practice. Because it doesn't really matter what you practice with. What matters is that you were just reading. Reading and reading and reading, lots and lots and lots. And so what my suggestion is, a couple of things, Melissa. Number one, that you try to set aside a time each day that's going to be your time for practice. You can ask Siri or Alexa to remind you every day, okay, ping, it's time to practice. Okay. And how long can I do it? Well, you've got a life. So you have to kind of work around your life, decide, okay, can I do 15 minutes a day? Can I do a half hour? What is going to work for me? Okay. But when it comes to what you read, I think that can be a big driver in succeeding in practice, because if it's something you're looking forward to reading more about, you can't wait to get back to it. Okay. So for that reason, I'm a big advocate of the idea of going to Wikipedia And if for me it's space. I'm interested in space exploration and astronomy and the heavenly bodies and different space exploration that's already happened, and satellites and scientific instruments that have been sent out there, and how are they doing, and are they getting anything interesting, and what kind of stuff was in the moon rocks that they brought back, and what did it feel like to be in that spacesuit when you were hopping across the moon back in 1969? Those things. So for me, if I go to Wikipedia, that's where I want to be. Is
Okay.
getting into that. Okay, what I'll have you do is to open up a web browser, Melissa,
Okay.
and go to wikipedia.com.
Okay. I'm there.
Okay, and what interests you?
I really enjoy scary stories, scary movies, things like that.
Okay,
Um,
well, what about, here, let's do something for fun. Look up
Sure.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Oh, she types fast.
1954 American monster film.
Okay, so now you've got something you can read. All right, and it's something that
Okay.
should pique your interest a little bit. It's one of the classics from the 1950s. So let's just go ahead and have you read a little bit from that, and no pressure here. Matter of fact, what I'd suggest is you start off by just reading in your natural voice, and
Okay.
just kind of feel your way through the copy a little bit.
Okay. Creature from the Black Lagoon is a 1954 American black and white 3D monster horror film produced by William Allen and directed by Jack Arnold, from a screenplay by Harry Essex, Arthur Ross, and a story by Maurice Zim. It stars Richard Carlson, Julia Adams, Richard Denning, Antonio Moreno, Nestor Paiva, and Whit Bissell. The film's plot follows a group of scientists who encounter I don't know that word, piscine?
Oh, you
Amphibian?
can just skip that. So let's
Okay.
just say humanoid. That's fine. I've got it up here too now.
Okay. Who encounter an amphibious humanoid in the waters of the Amazon. The creature, also known as the Gillman, was played by Ben Chapman on land and by Rico Browning underwater. Produced and distributed by Universal International, Creature from the Black Lagoon premiered in Detroit on February 12, 1954, and was released on a regional basis, opening on various dates.
Nice. Okay. Very good. And so, number one, you're already better than I am at reading without hesitation. I'm more of a fits and starts person, whereas you pretty much just kind of blew right through that without too many hesitations. So that's a real plus immediately right there.
Thank you.
The fact that your eyes scan ahead as you're reading, so that's awesome that you can do that. I'm hearing that really nice voice coming through.
Thanks.
I like to talk about delicious voices. There's something consumable about the voice. It's like a dessert. Okay. And you've got kind of a dessert voice, I think. Okay. So that definitely is another one of those things in your favor. Now, what we want to be
Excellent.
focusing on, I think, is on how you deliver. And if I were talking to you, we were just talking back and forth, and I mentioned that the film's plot follows a group of scientists who encounter a humanoid in the waters of the Amazon, and the creature, also known as a Gillman, was played by Ben Chapman on land and Rico Browning underwater. It was produced and distributed by Universal International, and Creature from the Black Lagoon premiered in Detroit on February 12th, 1954. So as I'm going back and forth between the copy and talking to you, how much difference is there? Really not any, right? I mean, I'm basically just kind of saying it the way I would say it to you if I was just telling you about something that I knew about, right? Okay.
Right.
So
I guess my question here, if we don't mind pausing, is the way that it's written is in a way that I would
not talk.
Never speak.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's part of the challenge. And, regardless of what copy we have in front of us, that is the big trick to doing voiceovers, is to turn it, to make it natural, to turn it into you are the copywriter. Okay. You're channeling the copywriter, so to speak, So as we are reading this, what we're doing is we're just explaining in our own natural voice what we're reading.
Okay.
So what I'd like you to do is go back through this again now and tell it to me. Just tell it to me like you would if we were sitting across the table from each other.
All right. Creature from the Black Lagoon is a 1954 American black and white 3D horror monster film produced by William Allen and directed by Jack Arnold, from a screenplay by Harry Essex and Arthur Ross, and a story by Maurice Zim.
Wow. Already big change there. Okay. So a lot of that pattern is lost already. So we're not getting this kind of the up and down sing-songy thing going on. It's getting way more just like you're telling me. And what it should be, what you can do is you can sit across, put your baby in, what do they call that little thing that babies can sit in that kind of looks like a little rocker or something. Set them across from you, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. What's your daughter's name?
Agatha.
So put Agatha in a little seat and sit her near you. Excuse me. And read some of this. read to her about the creature from the Black Lagoon. She'd probably find that very interesting. And, especially when it gets into that Piscine amphibious humanoid part. Mm-hmm. So you're reading this to her, and what you want to do is then occasionally stop reading and just talk to her a little bit, mm-hmm. and let your eyes dance back and forth between Agatha and the screen and see how little difference you can make in the way you talk between when you're reading off of the screen and when you're talking to Agatha. And just keep skipping back and forth. And what you'll find is that you will start to get more of a flow, and you're going to be able to just kind of relate it. Now, the problem is the way we talk to babies is going to make for interesting narration. So, the creature from the Black Lagoon is, So I don't know, maybe it needs to be your husband, but whoever you talk to, what you want to do is to just do the natural conversational speech. Mm-hmm. And the result is that you're going to start to find yourself just kind of opening up to the natural way of talking. And a lot of the contrived ups and downs that we throw into our voice when we are reading will go away. And what we're left with is just that the creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed in 3 dimensions and originally was projected by the polarized light method. And the audience wore viewers with gray polarizing filters. All right, so it's like, I'm interested in this. This is cool. I'm finding out more about this. And so what you can do is to just put some of your own natural wonder into your voice the way you would if you were talking about something that was really interesting to you. But at the core, what we want in the voiceovers is Melissa. That is what's going to make a great voiceover is you, because you already have a nice personality, you have personal interests, you have a nice voice. So all you're doing is just putting that out there, and you don't have to really do a lot of window dressing to that in order to do a good voiceover. Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess that's reassuring.
Yeah, it's
still intimidated, but reassuring.
It is. The funny thing is, it's easier and it's harder to do that than to put on a voice. When you put on a voice, you're not having, or you basically, you're inventing it so you don't have to, try and emulate yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you are using your own voice, you've got to find that. And that actually is kind of a lifetime pursuit. I'm still working on it myself. It's nothing that I've been at this for over 40 years. So it's, you never totally are going to have this totally cracked, but you can get pretty close. And the closer you can get to just the natural, real you when you're doing voiceovers, the better the voiceovers will be. And then everything that you do after that is just kind of an offspring of that. So if you are going to add style over the top, maybe for this is one of those on hold messages where you're being more bright and friendly, and you're just kind of keeping people busy until someone can get to you on the phone.
Service voice.
So at that point, it's the creature from the Black Lagoon is a 1954 American black and white 3D monster horror film, produced by William Allen and directed by Jack Arnold. Okay, so there's still the natural little breaks and hesitations and speechifying things that we do when we're talking, but just with a little more brightness. And if it's, then if this is the height of irony, what if this is a sleep story? This is one of those things that people listen to on their Calm app as they're going to sleep at night.
Love calm sleep stories.
There you go. Okay. So that may, and actually I could see you doing that because you've got that soothing, nice kind of round warmness to the tones of your voice. So, at that point, then we're saying, Creature from the Black Lagoon is a 1954 American black and white 3D monster horror film. Great thing to go to sleep by, right? Okay. But there again, we're still keeping a certain amount of the naturalness of our speech in there, but we're just softening it up, And, if you were doing a car ad or, Sunday, at that point, you're starting to kind of lose, you're going to lose yourself a little more because that becomes more announcerish. So occasionally there are going to be situations where you've got to kind of abandon your naturalness and go to something more kind of stylized. I just did a thing the other day for a big mega church that was having an event to honor their volunteers and stuff. And it was going to be done in the style of, like, ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome to our stage? Well, I don't talk to you like that. So at that point, we're breaking with what's natural. But I would say that the vast majority of voiceovers will benefit from being able to just find that core person that you are and put that into what you're reading. Okay. We'll do one more read here. So go ahead. Just take it from the beginning of the second paragraph. And let's just keep going a little bit. But this time I'd like you to lead into it by saying, something, Dane, or something like that. Give me a little lead in. So basically what you're saying, Melissa, Creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed in 3 dimensions. Okay. So just something like that.
Okay. Just let me think on that for a second. All right. Hey, Dane, did you know Creature from the Black Lagoon was filmed in 3D and originally projected on the polarized light method? The audience were viewers with these gray polarizing filters, similar to the viewers most commonly used today. But because of the brief 1950s 3D film fad, it peaked in mid-1953 and was fading fast by early 1954.
Wow. Okay, I'm stopping you right there. That's fabulous. Okay, you're really getting it. You're really getting. And as soon as you started being yourself and putting yourself into it, where did your hands go? You started gesturing. You started gesturing. This is your face started to express more. Your hands started to gesture. All these things came to life because you were putting yourself into what you were saying. And it really, really brought it to life. Okay, you've already got the core of what you need now to start practicing. Okay. One thing I'm going to just mention is be aware of something called vocal fry. Vocal fry is a buzz that we can get into our voice in certain situations where it kind of it gets kind of a little gravelly like this. Okay, so look out for that a little bit. I detected a little of that in your previous read, especially, and it may be that in conversation your voice fries a little bit. So I feel like it does it quite often. How would one go about avoiding that? Okay, well, I'm not hearing it when you ask that question. So what you have to do is to ask yourself, how did you just avoid it? Okay, just try not. I'll tell you one thing that can happen is your voice, when your voice tapers off. When it gets soft, that's where the starts to come in. Okay. So if you find that you cannot go below a certain volume without starting to fry, you have to stay above that volume. But everybody's a little different, and the reasons, the motivations for fry are different. Sometimes people fry because they're feeling self-conscious. They kind of get down here because they're kind of talk, or they're being, secretive. Talking kind of the secretive voice that kind of gets down here. But you're not doing that. But you just have to be aware that vocal fry is a thing. And to a certain degree, it's a generational thing, which means it's not necessarily something that is like a throat constriction or a problem like that. Some of it is just a style that I listened to a pre-roll the other day. It was an ad just ahead of a YouTube video, where you have to sit through this little ad first until you can hit the skip button. And she was talking like this through the whole thing, and it was like, oh, I can't wait to hit skip. Oh, please, 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so just be aware of the fact that that the fry is something that can sneak into your voice a little bit. Okay. And what you want to do is to find your way back out of that. Okay. And if you start to find yourself getting into it, find a way back out. And that may be by just the way you're thinking, and it could be the way you're breathing, and it could be, most likely, it's the amount of air pressure that you're using against your vocal cords. So the louder you are, the less fry there's going to be. And so you'll have to find kind of a balance. Where does it start to become unnaturally loud and not you, but you can play with that. That takes us to the practice part. And so it's kind of, we're making our full circle back around now. So Wikipedia is only one source, but I think it's a good one because not only do you have the initial article that you were interested in, but if you look, there's like all these links on the page that take you to stuff about the actors who were in it and just all kinds of things. So there's lots of hyperlinks in there. So you can continue to just kind of weave your way through this information and even related information and other movies that are like it and all of this stuff. And you'll never run out of material, and it'll all be stuff that you're, more intensely interested in. So get on Wikipedia or anywhere else that you want. And you said you have Audacity. That's perfectly good. There are people that will stay on that Audacity, that they never go beyond that. So you could do anything. Anything that you can record with is good. One nice thing about Audacity is that you can not only record yourself on it, but you can drop markers as well. And those markers are good for reference because let's say that you stumble across a style that you especially like. You can mark it and label it and later go back to it and find it and practice that style some more if you think it's something that might be useful. So there we go. There's some information that can get you started. I do suggest that you try to get onto a pattern so that you're doing this every day if you can, or every weekday, or whatever works for you. You have to just work with your schedule, but the consistency is a big part of it. And keep stretching yourself, looking for new things in your voice and trying different stuff. Now, if this were an official session, what we'd probably be doing is suggesting to you that you take this for a week or 10 days or whatever and just kind of run with it and practice, and that we get back together at some point rather than an hour, which is what we do with the first kind of assessment session like this. The follow-up sessions, generally, I think a half hour is fine for that because we're basically just kind of touching bases. Where did you leave off? What have you accomplished since then? Maybe you've even recorded some clips that you'd like me to hear, and so on. And then from there, I give you more feedback, send you back into practice with the ultimate goal of being able to get toward a demo. Now, here's something that you do not need to be worried about right now, Melissa, and that is gear to any great degree or your studio setting. You're in a room right now, which has shiny walls and so forth, and it's going to be a little echoey. At some point, you can address that if you feel like you are at the point where you need to address it. But for right now, all you really need to be able to do is to record and play back, and that's it. Okay. And you're more than set up for that, so you're in really good shape there.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, I think you've got the makings of someone that can do voiceovers here, Melissa. So there's the good news for you. And I'm excited to be able to, kind of track your progress. So regardless of whether we do anything together officially going forward, please do keep me in the loop. And if I can help with any questions at any time, just let me know, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Blessings to you and your husband and your cute little Agatha. And I wish you all the best success with your pursuits here with that. And I really appreciate your patience with me today as we were getting everything set up.
You're welcome. No problem.
All right. Well, thank you, Melissa. Great job with me today. LiveCoach number 1. It was a fun session, and we have more of them scheduled, so they're going to be coming one after another here. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you get all of them, and I hope they're all helpful to you. I'm Dane Scott. Catch you next time.
Hello. Hello. Hello, I think. Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.